Well, howdy dowdy diddly do. What's going on, neighborinos? It's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I wanted to sit down and talk about video games. I mean, we're usually always talking about video games. I don't know how this video is going to be any really indifferent to any other video we'd usually get out here on the channel. Let's just talk about some video games. Today for you guys, I wanted to sit down and discuss 2020, next year in the ways of gaming. Mainly because of the fact that 2020 is going to be an absolutely wild year. We are in for a thick amount of spice very soon, guys. Not only do we have an abundance of really highly anticipated titles releasing throughout 2020, but next year also marks the next generation of consoles. We're mainly looking towards the next Xbox and the next PlayStation. These times are always usually extremely exciting. Everyone kind of, comes together to see exactly what Microsoft have on offer, what Sony have on offer. And then, of course, there's the inevitable bickering between what system is better. Oh, the joys of seeing many forums filled with screaming fanboys. I'm looking forward to this specifically, for sure. This is going to be taking me back to 2013 real quick. But yes, without a doubt, the most exciting thing that will be happening next year will be the unveilment of the brand new systems, PlayStation 5 and the Project Scarlet for the Xbox. So today for you guys, I wanted to talk about 2020 in gaming, talk about some of the titles that I'm extremely looking forward to, talk about some of the major titles that we have releasing from the start all the way through until, midway through the year. We've currently got a lot of titles at the moment that do already have release dates for 2020. And then, of course, for the other half of 2020, its major focus will be around the brand new systems. The reason why I wanted to put this video together is because I really just don't think there has been a year in gaming where I've been this excited for. Sure, 2019 was really exciting to go into just because of the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, but really that was only one title for me personally, although yes, there are so many other titles that have been coming out throughout this year and are still to come out this year that I am excited for and have been excited for. The main highlight for me is Kingdom Hearts 3, whereas when I look at 2020, there's at least like 4 things as of right now happening throughout that year that are major fucking holy, let's hold the phone, boys. This is a big deal. So let's sit back and talk about 2020, starting off with January. What is January looking like for 2020 in the way of video games? Well, we do actually have 3 pretty damn big releases, one of which I know I'll probably be finding myself playing just because it looks really intriguing. So starting off January 16th, we're getting Yakuza 8, known as Like a Dragon. It's actually Yakuza 7, not 8, but technically it is actually the 8th game, so yeah. And I've only had a slight little, that's meant to be a taste test. That's meant to be like me trying to be like, yeah, I've only had a taste test. But no, I own 0 and 6. I've only ever played 0 a little bit for maybe an hour, and I didn't really get a feel for it, so I'm not too sure if I personally will be picking up Like a Dragon, but I know a lot of fans are looking forward to this and are also at the same time a little bit worried about it, just because, yes, although this is the next mainline Yakuza game, apparently it is actually changing up the gameplay, changing it from sort of an action-orientated beat-em-up style game to that of a turn-based title. On January 17th, the very next day, Dragon Ball Kakarot ends up releasing. This is the next Dragon Ball game, but it's a little bit different. This is an open-world RPG Dragon Ball game, and I know a lot of Dragon Ball fans are looking forward to this. If the reception of this game is good enough, I might actually end up playing it. I like me a good open-world RPG so long as it's executed right. It's not the same shit, copy and pasted time and time again. If it's good, I'll play it. I can't really say that I'm too much of a DBZ fan, and I haven't really had too much experience with the DBZ games before, so maybe Kakarot might be one that I'll test out, but otherwise that comes out the very next day to look forward to. And then to finish off January, on January 28th, we have Journey to the Savage Planet. This was revealed a little earlier this year. I don't really know what this is. It kind of looks like one of those sort of survival-esque games, but it looks really different. This is the game that I think I will definitely be playing out of the 3 that are releasing in January, just because it looks quite strange, but also it looks like I could probably spend a decent amount of time just piss-assing around in this. You get to kick space chickens around the place, you hold this little booger thing, I don't know what that is, it's disgusting. Then February rolls around, so this is when stuff starts to get really interesting. From February all the way up until May, there are major games coming out every single month, which is is probably why 2020 is so exciting, aside from the fact that the new consoles are coming out. So starting on February 11th is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. People have been long awaiting a sequel for Ori, and they're finally fucking getting it. That was revealed last year, I believe, at E3 in 2018, and it's finally coming out in February of 2020. I'm yet to actually play Ori. I've heard so many fucking good things about it. I probably need to do myself the favor of playing the first one so that I'm ready for number 2 in Feb. However, though, this is when the big guns start to get pulled out, boys. February 21st, The Last of Us Part 2. So last week, we got the next major information release of The Last of Us Part 2, and we got the long-awaited release date. I know that at E3 2018, we got that massive, awesome display of The Last of Us, and like PlayStation's venue was all themed to that of The Last of Us, and everyone was like, holy fuck, we're in for some Last of Us, we're gonna get some new gameplay, get some new story thickness, and to finish it off, that fucking release date. Yeah, with the way that Sony set up that venue for E3 2018, because it was just so The Last of Us focused, it really seemed like they were going all out and we would be getting the release date, but no. E3 2019 rolls around, oh, but wait, PlayStation weren't there. We start to panic, we're like, okay, what the fuck is going on with this game? And lo and behold, Naughty Dog pulled through last week and they finally gave it to us. I am so looking forward to this. This would probably have to be one of the most anticipated games for 2020 for me personally. Naughty Dog do an absolutely incredible job of cinematic video game storytelling. They're the big dogs behind that style of video game storytelling, and they just nail it so well. They're so good at telling personal stories where it's like at the end of the game you have all of these disgusting personal attachments to all the characters, and you can't help but want to sob and like care for them and just do everything in your power for them. Naughty Dog are good at doing that when it comes to video games, so definitely looking forward to the next slice of The Last of Us. Then of course March rolls around and like another big gun suddenly fucking comes out of nowhere. March 3rd, the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now we've talked a little bit about the 7 Remake here on the channel from time to time. If you guys have seen my remake videos, and you guys will know, I'm not a diehard Final Fantasy fan. You know where my respect lies. It's mainly with that fucking kid with the oversized key. When it comes to Final Fantasy, unfortunately, as a kid, I didn't really have too much experience with it, and I'm also not really too fond of turn-based. However, obviously, the 7 Remake is completely changing things up, although, yes, it's still containing the very same story that nerds got to play through back in 1997, although we'll only be experiencing one portion of Final Fantasy VII in the remake, and then no doubt we'll have to wait, you know, another 8, 9, 10, 14... 28 years to get the next slice. But in the remake, quite a bit has changed. The visuals, obviously a lot different, and the gameplay, which is the most important for me personally. The 7 Remake is going for more of an action-orientated, action RPG style of game, with some callbacks to the old school style of Final Fantasy games, but it's more so of an action RPG. You can catch me playing the 7 Remake on March 3rd. Hell yes. Again, this is also another one of the most highly anticipated video games for 2020. And then 3 days later, Watch Dogs Legion ends up releasing. So Watch Dogs is sort of an interesting case. It has had a bit of a rocky run ever since it was first brought into existence back in, I believe it was 2013. This was meant to be like the game of the century. Like if you're buying a next generation console, this is the game you get to go along with the package. And it turns out it was a complete disaster in the sense of false advertisement from what Ubisoft was showing of the game towards what the final product ended up being. So I guess it was due to that initial reaction of Watch Dogs and the reception of the game when it finally came out, which absolutely just turned me off on the series. But then number 2 came out, it was actually pretty well received, and ever since then, I've been thinking about dipping in. So I might not actually bother about number 1 or 2, and I might just go straight into Legion if Legion's reception is actually really good. But that's another really big game that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, coming out March 6th, 2020. Then the next big game to release in March of 2020 is on March 20th, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Do I need to play an Animal Crossing game? I feel like if I ask this question, you guys are just gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you asking this? Why is this even a question? I've never played Animal Crossing, alright? But what I do know is the fucking fan following of this franchise is thick. Oh baby, it's thick. Yeah, this is another long-running Nintendo franchise, one of the more popular ones for sure. People have been begging and asking for a brand new Animal Crossing for a goddamn long time, son. And I believe the most recent Animal Crossing wasn't actually an Animal Crossing. Was it that like amiibo thing on Wii U, and then like a lot of people were really triggered because it was just like an amiibo mini game with Animal Crossing characters. So I'm really happy for Animal Crossing fans. You're getting that next juicy thick Animal Crossing game come the 20th of March next year. All right, Deuce, we're into April. We're into April. We're in. You know what that means, right?
Wake the fuck up, samurai.
Oh, hell yeah, we're gonna be going all futuristic, Back to the Future, fucking Blade Runner shit. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, that's right. Come the 16th of April 2020, big boys, we'll be dipping into that 2077. Cyberpunk 2077. Dude, I cannot wait for this game. Although we do have the likes of the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out next year, as well as The Last of Us Part 2. For me personally, Cyberpunk 2077 at this point goes down as the most anticipated title for me throughout 2020. I absolutely cannot wait for this. The really weird thing is, I'm not like a Witcher 3 man. I'm not like, yeah, have you played The Witcher 3, dude? Game's fucking, it's the cheese, bro. If you haven't played Witcher 3, you haven't played a fucking video game. What are you doing? So this bad boy right here, some people would say that this is probably the best video game of all time. There's nothing else that can stand against this. When it came out, I remember that a lot of the different media outlets were actually saying, like quite literally saying that this is the best video game. If you don't buy it, you're not a fucking gamer. So I ended up getting it just because, you know, it was getting 10 around the boards. People were like fucking having seizures over it. It was like some nuts next level BS. Picked it up and, I can't do it. I don't understand. I love me, as I was saying, why can I not do it? Anyway, what I'm saying is I just couldn't do The Witcher 3. At some point, I've got to go back and try to get myself into it because I know that it's an amazing experience. However, though, what I do know is CD Projekt Red have this amazing track record of making pretty damn fucking good games. This one in particular. So people definitely do have very high expectations and hopes for Cyberpunk 2077, myself included. I'm hoping that it turns out to be the game that has been displayed and explained to us for all of these years, because if it turns out to be what it's looking like to be, then it's gonna be a fucking awesome time. Also, people have been waiting a long time for this game too. The original teaser came out in 2013, which is insane to think about, and it's finally gonna be releasing 7 years later in 2020. It's kind of crazy. So, looking forward to 2077. And the final big game that we'll be releasing throughout next year that does have a concrete release date is the next month, The Avengers, releasing on May 15th. To be honest, I know this game is like another really big major release happening throughout 2020, but for me personally, although I've seen like a decent amount of gameplay, there's a decent amount of footage, it's looking like a pretty damn fun time. It didn't really give me the same sort of feeling when I was seeing those initial Spider-Man for PS4 videos, so I think this is going to be a game that I will definitely hold forth on until, you know, the reviews and stuff come out and we start getting people's opinions towards like what this is kind of like. I like the ongoing service idea, the fact that they're going to keep this as a live service, continue to add, you know, new content to it, so long as they don't fuck around with the monetization of the game, they don't make it ass. It should be pretty good. So those are all of the sort of bigger titles that are coming out in 2020. You guys can obviously see that all of those titles come out within the first 5 months of the year. Good God. Now there are also some other games that will be coming out in 2020, but as of right now currently don't have concrete release dates. These games are Destroy All Humans, the remake remaster themabob. I used to jam the shit out of this as a kid, obviously during the PS2 era. It's amazing to see that they're bringing this back. THQ, you beautiful bastards. It's also looking amazing with that fresh new coat of paint. Hell yes. Very excited for this. The next one as well, at THQ, they're also going ahead and doing the same for SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, the rehydrated version. You want that sucker in 1080p, slightly updated visuals? Let's fucking go. Yeah, definitely looking forward to Rehydrated. Apparently we don't know when it's coming out, but man, like, Bikini Bottom, that's nostalgia soup for me. Next up is Dying Light 2. I absolutely loved the very first game, and the second one is looking like it's building upon what made the first one really good. Number 2 is also introducing like decision making, and that also affects like the world that you get to explore. It's basically like more Dying Light 1, but like with so many more new features added on top of it, which, hell yes, I'm looking forward to this, give it to me. Another major title that should be releasing sometime next year is Ghost of Tsushima. This is Sucker Punch's brand new upcoming IP. They're deciding to step away from Infamous to dip into something new, and I've been a massive long-time fan of Sucker Punch's work, whether it be the Infamous series or of course the classic Sly Cooper series back during the PS2 era. These guys make some damn good content. This is still set to be a PlayStation 4 release, so I'm gathering that it will be releasing sometime in 2020, although we do know that the PlayStation 5 will have PS4 backwards compatibility. Sometime before the release of the new consoles, we'll most likely end up getting Ghosts of Tsushima. Next is Nioh 2. I'm not really too much of a Souls person per se. Love me some Bloodborne, but for whatever fucking reason, I just can't get into Dark Souls. However though, Nioh is a game that I could definitely get into, and I think it comes down to the, I guess the combat pacing of that game. Dark Souls is kind of quite slow, whereas Bloodborne, it sort of speeds things up a little bit, as the game is very sort of quite dodge dependent rather than having to use a shield. And Nioh is like the fastest. In terms of like the fastest Souls-esque game I've played in the ways of the speediness of the combat, Nioh would have to be the fastest. The first game was fantastic, and it's really cool to see that Koei Tecmo are going back for a second time around and giving this game a sequel. Nioh 2 is set to release sometime throughout 2020. And the last one that currently doesn't have a release date as of right now is Halo Infinite. I am a pretty damn massive Halo fan, even though for the most part I'm lean more towards the PlayStation side of things. I love me some Halo, dude. Halo has had a little bit of a finicky track record ever since 343 took over the IP so that Bungie could step away from Halo to develop Destiny. Now, I'm not saying that both Halo 4 and 5 are bad games. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and even when looking towards the overall critic reviews towards both of these titles, they're actually pretty good. However, you can distinctly tell what is a Bungie-made Halo title and a 343 Halo title. This mainly comes down to the visual direction in which 343 have decided to take Halo in, and while this isn't really a major, to fans it kind of is. The one really awesome thing to see about Infinite from what we have seen of the game so far is the new visual direction that they're taking the game in. 343 are wanting to capture that traditional kind of feel and look of Halo and veer away from that kind of clunkiness that we kind of got within both Halo 4 and 5. We don't really know too much about Halo Infinite just as of right now, but no doubt E3 2020, this will be Microsoft's biggest focus aside from obviously the upcoming Scarlet. Now Infinite is going to be a launch title for the Xbox Scarlet, and Microsoft did announce this year at E3 that the Xbox Scarlet will be releasing at the end of 2020. As we were saying, 2020 is also going to be the year in which we will get the new consoles. Now, Microsoft did say that the Scarlet will be releasing holiday 2020, so it makes me think that December will be the prime time for when the next Xbox comes out. Because of the fact that Microsoft are looking at launching the Xbox in holiday of 2020, it also means that without a doubt the PlayStation 5 will most likely have to launch around that time as well to, you know, obviously keep up sales and to compete with their rivals, being that of Microsoft. Whenever a brand new Xbox or PlayStation system releases, they always usually end up releasing very close to one another, just because when it comes to it, there's always that thing of, alright, what do I go for, the Xbox or the PlayStation? That means that E3 2020 is most likely going to be a pretty damn insane one, as its main primary focus will probably be both Sony as well as Microsoft showing off their brand new systems, showing off the launch titles that will come with them, what the consoles are actually capable of doing. E3 is usually the place where these big companies decide to unveil their next big console, so I don't think it'll be any different for next year's E3. However, there have been a few different interesting things that have been coming out about E3, how the ESA actually do want to change the way that the show actually operates, making it more of a Gamescom festival sort of thing, opposed to that of an actual trade show. However though, even if that does still happen, those changes are in effect where it's more public-based than that of actually industry-based. I still feel as if next year's E3 is going to be an absolutely insane one with the display of the new systems. Again, we'll most likely be looking at probably a December release for the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet. But that is basically it. That is 2020 in gaming. We got the new systems to look forward to, all the new news that will follow with those new systems, the launch titles to look forward to. But then of course for the first half of the year, we've got all that juiciness in the terms of beautiful content to play through, man. Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy VII. So in the comment section down below, guys, please do let me know what titles and stuff you guys are looking forward to in the ways of gaming for 2020. I would love to know. However, guys, that is going to basically wrap up today's gaming discussion video. Hopefully you dudes are having a fantastic day. I've been Cynical, and until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.